Hello and welcome to the Erica Russo Show. Now, this is the part of the episode where I go into my spiel, where I welcome new listeners and I say hello to the OGs. But due to where we are in the world today, I feel like it is a smart move to just simply let the cat out of the bag and start this episode off with, if you are someone who celebrated the assassination of Charlie Kirk, this isn't your podcast, and I am certainly not your person. I believe that murder is not the answer for disagreeing with somebody's belief system. And I will stand by that until the day that I die. So if you are someone who thinks that the murder was justified, that he got what he deserved, this is not your podcast. And my content, my courses, all of it is not what you need, and I'm not your person. So you can, unsubscribe, unfollow, all the things. And I wish you well. I wish you the best of luck in your journey. With that being said, I know that I shared on my Instagram stories like a week ago. Oh my God, it's just been such a whirlwind, guys. Oh my God, it's been so insane. This eclipse season at the personal and the collective level has just like tore me up, man. But I know that a couple weeks ago I shared that I attended the Abraham Hicks Workshop in Tarrytown, New York, and that I would be doing an episode where I talk a little bit about the experience, some of the things that came through, and this is the episode. So thank you for being patient with me. Thank you for being interested in learning about Abraham Hicks and the whole experience. Again, for me, like, I don't know, like, since August, like early August, I went on a vacation with my family, and it wasn't just my immediate family, it was my brother-in-laws and their kids, and it was a lot of fun. We made so many great memories. We went clamming, we made Clams Casino. It was just so much fun, and I look forward to it again because we're probably going to be doing a year, every year sort of thing. But since then, it was like, okay, we get back home. School starts in, a week and a half. We got to get ready for school. And then the eclipse season happens. And the lunar eclipse was in Pisces, which was, oh my God, on September 7th, I believe. And that impacted me and my personal natal chart like deeply. And then the shock that was heard around the world occurred. And oh, it's just been insanity. It has just been absolute insanity. And I feel like I'm just catching my breath. I'm sure everyone listening can like feel that. I'm sure that everyone is kind of just catching their breath because this eclipse season, oh my God, man, the universe hand delivered shit to us. With that being said, I want to talk about the Abraham Hicks workshop that I attended. Now, if you don't know who Abraham Hicks is, just head on over to YouTube and type it in because Abraham Hicks is a spiritual teacher, which is channeled by Esther Hicks. Okay, Esther Hicks, didn't create, but channels a group of non-physical beings called Abraham. And they mainly focus on the law of attraction and manifestation, but there's always a lot of good nuggets that you always need to hear when you listen. I am no stranger to Abraham Hicks. I've been listening for over 10 years. If you have ever watched the Secret documentary, in one of the versions, Abraham is in it. Okay, so that's one thing. But they also have a ton of oracle decks and just content readily available as well as books. So if you are into law of attraction and manifestation, I would highly suggest tuning in. Now, with that being said, another thing that I found really freaking fascinating is I attended an Abraham Hicks workshop, and I'm pretty sure it was either August or September of 2018 or 2017. I'm not sure. But when I was driving home, I realized that I did that. And that was during the eclipse season back then. And I believe it was in the same Saros cycle. And then I attended another workshop during eclipse season. So I found it very interesting. It was kind of like the beginning of a cycle and the ending of a cycle. And that's kind of how I celebrated. I learned about manifestation and the law of attraction with Abraham. Now, with that being said, this particular event was the Saturday after the assassination. And when I got to the Marriott in Tarrytown and I walked into the room, it was a very interesting feeling. The vibe was one that I've never kind of experienced before because at the collective level, I do believe that the majority of the energy that was in that room was still in shock, to be completely honest. And it felt like everyone went in there wanting to make the best out of it. There was the shock vibe was still there, but it was definitely like everyone was trying to be optimistic. Everyone was trying to put a smile on their face and just be there for Abraham and learn about the universe and just raise their vibe. And it was a great experience. Now, Esther Hicks got a new haircut, which looks absolutely fabulous. It's kind of looks like Kate Gosselin's from Kate Plus 8. It's very cute. It looks great on her. But what essentially happens is Esther has no idea what is going to come through every time she channels Abraham. And she warned us that when she came up. And when she brought through Abraham, they began to talk about the wholeness of who you are. And everything you want is what you think will bring you to who you truly are. And that really was like a aha moment for me, because the things that we desire, the things that we're trying to attain in this life, is it because we actually want the thing? Is it because we actually want the car, the relationship, the money, the wealth, the freedom? Or is it because we believe that those things are going to bring us closer to our highest self? That the frequencies that those things hold will bring us closer to who we truly are. And that really deeply resonated with me. Now, they also went into isolating the feeling within the vortex. Now, here's the thing about manifestation. We can visualize all we want. It's not the visualization that actually brings the manifestation into the physical reality. I've known this for years. Many of us know this for years. It is the feeling, because the feeling is the vibration, and it's vibration that you are trying to attract. Therefore, it's about isolating the feeling of what it is that you desire, which is in the vortex, and holding it. That's the key to manifestation. And I think that many of us, including myself, have the problem of it's very easy to hold a vibration when you put a 5-minute timer on your phone and you set the intention to feel into what it is you're calling in, right? But how do we hold that vibration after we get off the meditation pillow, after the timer goes off? And I think that is the challenge of it. That is the challenge of manifestation, is trying to hold the vibration for the majority of your time. Now, they also started to say to quiet your thoughts and go into the nothingness of consciousness. just like me, they are an avid teacher of meditation. And if you are someone who has a problem with stopping your thoughts, Abraham talked about what Esther does is she always has the AC going when she meditates. And instead of trying to stop her thoughts, she just focuses on the sounds and the vibrations that the AC is putting out. And I forgot that's not a new teaching by any means, but that is a teaching that I've heard like a couple years ago. And I remembered that when she said that, I don't know where I heard it. It was probably in a YouTube video. I started doing that and it definitely does help. So instead of trying to stop your thoughts, you're never going to stop your thoughts, maybe doing something with an AC unit. Now, another thing that they brought up is the law of attraction is always bringing your frequency. So again, it's about being an energetic match to what it is that you are calling in. Okay, so whatever that is, you need to become an energetic match before it's going to show up. Okay, so you need to hold the frequency. Okay. They also went into what is holding back the manifestation is you focusing on the what is. This is so hard to do. It really is so hard to do because this is where I get tripped up when it comes to manifestation because, we're human beings and we can look around and we can pinpoint the things that we don't want to see and the things that are going wrong. Now, if you don't know this, the human brain, the default setting is we go to the negative. So if something occurs, you're automatically going to go to the negative side to it. So hypothetically, think that your car won't start. The first thing that you're going to go to is, oh, great, how am I going to get to work? Instead of, that's okay, we can try to fix it. Think of how many times in your life where your brain has went to the negative. So this is not only about holding the frequency of what it is that you are calling in, it is also about rewiring your brain. This shit is not easy. It's not easy by any means. So this requires constant coming back to it, checking in with yourself, and rewiring your brain, quite literally. So they then went into how to read vibration. And they just kept on saying, well, how do you feel? How do you feel? How do you feel? How do you feel? Your emotions and your feeling and what you are experiencing is the indicator. Okay, so however you are experiencing life is showing you where you are vibrating at. Now, they have in their book Ask and Is Given on page 114, they share the emotional guidance scale, okay? And the emotional guidance scale is essentially what it sounds like, where it shows you all of the emotions that we experience on a daily basis, as well as the tipping point where you go from negative emotions to more positive emotions. Okay, so I'm going to go through the emotional guidance scale. You can probably you probably might not even need to read the book, to be completely honest. You can probably just Google this because this is well-known information. But I'm going to go through all of the emotions to let you know where they sit on the scale. So the last emotion is fear, grief, depression, despair, and powerlessness. Okay, so this is victim mentality at its finest. Then you go up to insecurity, guilt, and unworthiness. Then jealousy, hatred and rage, revenge, anger, discouragement, blame, worry, doubt, disappointment, overwhelmment, frustration, irritation, and impatience, pessimism, boredom, and then the tipping point comes in. Okay, so the next emotion that I'm going to share with you is where you want to go, where you want to bring yourself, and that is contentment. On top of contentment, there is hopefulness, optimism, positive expectation and belief, enthusiasm, eagerness and happiness, passion, and the first one is joy, knowledge, empowerment, freedom, love, and appreciation. Now, I have heard from other other teachings that the highest vibration that we can experience is authenticity, which is very interesting because I would coincide that with empowerment. So, dare I say that empowerment and authenticity is a bit of a higher vibration than joy and knowledge. Now, anything, so what essentially happens in these workshops is Abraham will speak for a little bit, riff off whatever it is they feel like they need to riff off, and then they do like hot seat coaching where people from the audience comes up on stage and asks questions. The first person that came up to stage, she had a pretty interesting question, and she was asking about cannabis. She said that she uses cannabis to get in alignment to help her with her anxiety and her depression, and when she uses it, she feels very much in tune with herself and she feels better. And she asked how that works with the emotional guidance scale, but also getting into the vortex. And what Abraham said was anything that helps you feel better is allowing you to raise your vibration. But using things such as psilocybin and cannabis isn't necessarily bringing you to that place, but it is bringing you up the emotional guidance scale. Okay, so keep that in mind. And the thing is you have to walk before you run. So I would state that if you are struggling with those lower vibrations and you need help getting to that tipping point and feeling a little bit better about life, I don't see any problem with using things like cannabis and psilocybin, but understanding that that isn't going to essentially bring you into the vortex. So that was something that they said. And then they also went into being a cooperative component of the universe. And it was very interesting because they shared a story where on the way to this workshop, Esther was in, Esther had to get a very early morning flight. And during this early morning flight and waiting for, to load to the airplane, she felt the niggle to go and stand beside the window and look and look out at the tarmac. And while she was looking at the tarmac, she noticed that the bags were coming, they were bringing the bags to the plane, and one of the bags fell off of the caddy. And she frantically was trying to wave at the person down at the tarmac to show them that the bag fell, and she couldn't get his attention. So as soon as she saw somebody official, she said, "Hey, I saw a bag fall off." And lo and behold, they radioed down and the person went and picked up the bag that fell and brought it to the plane. And she kept on saying to herself, "I'm a cooperative component. If it wasn't for me, that person would have never gotten their bag." And that's how we should be living our life, as not just what can I do, like what can the universe give to me, but being a cooperative component of other people's manifestations. So when we see something, when we feel a niggle for something, we trust it and we allow ourselves to be a cooperative component. Now, the next person that came up on stage brought up the topic of success. And they said that they're successful in some areas of life, but there's other areas of life where they don't feel successful. And Abraham went to say that success is a tricky word, and success is being aware of how it works and enjoy the becoming of it. And everybody has a different motive, a different definition of what success looks like. And then they started to talk about how they are working with like a business consultant, social media consultant place, and how they're trying to shift or change the trajectory of what it is her business is doing. And Abraham went to say that when there are many vibrations in the pot, meaning when you are co-creating with other people, it gets messy, and it it you're only as strong as your lowest vibration. So if you are in a business or a relationship with someone who has a very low vibration, you have to anticipate that the vibration and the vortex that you are trying to call in, it's going to be more challenging, because it's the law of averages, essentially, which made a lot of sense. And it was kind of like an aha moment for this person when they were talking about the co-creation. When, there's two business partners or more than one person's vibration trying to manifest something. And then they went they kept on going. And if you need to like experience this for yourself, to be completely honest, anything channeled. So I always say that, like, there's also another book called Seed of the Soul by Gary Zukav, and that was one of the first books that I read during my first awakening, I should say, and it was all channeled. And when it's channeled, it's so dense with information. Like, there's so much information available with it. And with Abraham, it's they're talking a mile a minute, and it's that it's like sometimes I need to like pause and I need to like put the volume down, or like even during the workshop I was like, okay, whew, like I'm a lot of stuff is going over my head. But they went from talking about success and co-creating with people to then talking about words don't teach. It's your own thoughts that are depriving you from the things that you want. And that's very true. It is our own thoughts that are depriving us from the things that we want. And it's the dominant intent is to see what you want to see. So another person came up and she asked, what should she say to herself in the morning? And what should she say to herself at night in order to be in alignment and to get the most out of the day? And they said to say, my dominant intent is to see what I want to see. And that's the first thought of the day. And then at night, they said to say, I look for things that feel good. You know everything you need when you are in alignment. And I'm trying to think because, and then another person came up for the hot seat coaching, and it was, he was a man and he was a first grade teacher, and he was talking about how he has been frustrated because school started for him that week, and he's trying to get the kids to settle down. And obviously they're in first grade, they're like 5 or 6 years old, and they're excited, and it's new and it's invigorating, and they're literally 5 and 6 years old. And he asked how he can handle this stress and, work with the situation. And Abraham went to basically state, instead of trying to go through the lesson plan, what he has set up, what he is supposed to teach, they said to look at the world through their eyes. And this was really interesting. They said to look through the world through the 5 or 6 year old's eyes and what they are experiencing, and how you can use everything in your classroom to make them think differently, to make them have critical thinking. And they gave the example of turning off the power and not being able to turn on the lights. And they said to start asking them questions about what they can still do when the power is off, and what are other things that they can do without any power or internet, and let them be the gentle observer. Let them experience life in that sort of sense. And I loved that particular hot seat because that gave me a lot of ideas where words don't teach. Words do not teach. I truly believe that. Everything that I have taught throughout my career, all of the classes, all of everything, I had to experience it. I had to experience the things firsthand in order to be able to relay the information to you. Okay, especially when it comes to spiritual shit. That is just the truth of the matter. You need to experience it yourself. You have to have that deeper understanding and that awareness. You need to have tangible experiences in order to share it. Because again, I probably have thousands of books gathered, and I read a lot and all of that, but I'll grab things from books and from classes, but it really doesn't hit home until you actually experience it firsthand. And I've always said that. I didn't need Abraham Hicks to tell me that. You need to experience it yourself. That's the best case. That's honestly the truth of the matter. And the way they worded the whole thing for the first grade teacher just was so helpful because again, it's quite you're trying to contain like 6 year olds that are so excited for a new chapter, for a new beginning, for a new community, for new friends. And instead of trying to get them to do what the books are telling them, you need to work with what you have. And I think that goes to show for any sort of teacher. You want to work with what is happening at the moment. What is the vibration of the collective? Are they asking questions? Are they wanting to just talk? Are they wanting to just be together in unity? And that really is kind of the secret sauce of being a great teacher. Now, that's really it. Like, that was really it. But I would, again, highly suggest if you are interested in learning more about manifestation. I always say, like, when I get ready, I'll have Abraham Hicks going on YouTube in the background, and it always just like perks me up. Whatever it is, it always I always get the message that I need to hear that day, and it always brings me up that emotional guidance scale. Um, so it's great, and they do cruises, and I think they also have a bunch of other workshops this year. But yeah, that was the workshop, and that's it. That's all for this week's episode, or and all that. And be sure to follow me on Instagram at Erica W. Russo. I will also leave the link to my freebie library that you can check out as well. And I will see you guys around the internet. Bye.